honestly probably changed my life in a very, very positive way. So I always am thrilled to actually get a chance to speak with her. This is Justine Alley Dowsett. She is the head person in charge of Mirror World Publishing. She is a writer extraordinaire. Am I missing something? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
Writer, publisher, cover artist.
Oh, okay. So you do cover art now too?
Yeah, on commission. So we were talking about the hustle earlier, but yeah, I take a little bit of commissions to do cover arts, and I do a lot of the ones for Mirror World Publishing are my designs now. So
you evolved. Like it's like, hey, well, no, it's just the do-it-yourself thing. Like you have to realize, like, you understand the work that goes into something, and sometimes, like I do video advertisements, right? So they take a certain amount of time to do. Even though I can do some of them, like I can bang out one pretty quickly if it's depending on the size and length. But serious editing takes, and the smaller it gets, ironically enough, the more editing you have to do. That's how video editing works. It's the big stuff, you can kind of just let it fly, but the little stuff, you're like, no, I got to be really tight. So, but the thing about that is, it takes work, and so someone would be like, going, well, I want to pay this much. You can't really argue their words, but you might not be able to do what you might not be able to give them what they're worth. So you're like, YouTube University, I can do it.
It's definitely a balance between budget and how much effort you're willing to put in yourself, and the quality that you're willing to pay for sure.
Well, you have to. I mean, there's limits. Like I have a lot of skills. I wouldn't necessarily hire myself to be an interior artist exactly as he's doing his own graphic novel, but at the same time, you have to realize that, okay, I have only so much time in the day.
Yeah.
What can I do well? In my case, I have a big mouth. I'm great at
that. Marketable skill right there.
Very marketable skill. Right? A big mouth. What can you do? I can sell shit. That's what I can do. But useful skill, nonetheless. But so me doing generally as a rule of thumb, I wouldn't, like, the book I'm drawing is because I'm the right style for it. And that's an ironic thing. There are my Alice stuff. Kenzie's way better than me, and there's not even like a competition there. She's just like, you do a better vision than that. You do it better than I could imagine it. So you do that. And it's just like recognizing where your skills are and where they're not. Mm-hmm. And again, you have to be willing to learn, but you only got 24 hours in a day. And, you have a husband. I'm sure he likes to see you once in a while. That's not book related.
Well, he does my editing.
That's what I say. Like, even so, it's at the, I mean, like, I'm sure it's like, honey, can we put the books down and like do dinner, movie, fool around a little bit? I'm sure there are some times it's like, that's what we want to do today.
Well, that's going back to balance. You kind of got to find some sort of equilibrium when you're doing your own business, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. It's one of those things where that happy balance is one of those trickiest things, and you realize you can get sucked completely in. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you absolutely have to. For the most part, you don't have to, right? And again, that took me a long time to fully wrap that around my brain. But I got it, And like I said, you have a fairly reliable crew. I mean, with your husband, and apparently you have an assistant now. So
she started out by reading the slush pile, and then
so you tortured her.
Yeah, we just kept giving her more work, and then we started taking her out to different events and teaching her how to sell books, and
So did her brain too break at some of the slush pile, or did she actually? Because that's the thing. Like no one wants. The slush pile is a necessary evil because there are great gems sometimes in those, and there really is. Yeah. But the thing is, if you're an editor, there's this real war. Because every once in a while, you'll get this beautiful piece. You're like, why did I not notice this before? And that's a great surprise. And then sometimes you'll be like, there's a reason you're here.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. Like that's why we do it. That's why we publish, is to find those gems and to polish them and to get them out there. But yeah, sometimes you read through a lot of really tough things to get through, and especially for us at Mirror World, because we always give feedback. We try to tell people, what works and what doesn't work, so they know what to do next. So they're not just saying, where do I go from here? What do I do with this? So that's been a challenge, but it's also been something that's really good that we can provide.
Well, it's also been like a learning process too. I was there when you started, and we were all trying to like figure this stuff out. I've gotten older. I don't know about the wiser, but I definitely gotten older. And one of the things I realized is, like, especially with a guy like me, a guy who writes like very unique stuff in some cases. Although I have done novels, you'd be surprised. I've actually done some novels. The thing about that is, there's a, how do I put this? You have to understand what the strengths of the individual is, and I think one of the big things authors don't really understand, I think, is something a lot of authors struggle with. I've written the book. What do I say to get people's attention? And what I always do in verses, why did you want to write the story?
Yeah.
That's usually where the answer is. It's like, why do I like the story? It's like, well, I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
I bet you other people will understand that.
Yeah, a lot of authors, unfortunately, for them, really, is that they're introverted. I mean, people who like to write usually kind of not you. You're an exception to the rule, but
believe it or not, I am by my nature an introvert. I just, because of everything I realized at a very young age that I had to get out there. Like, there's no, I've said this story a few times. Like, when I lived in Phoenix, I went to the States, I was in these platforms, and when you're surrounded by really beautiful, amazing things, and all you got your big mouth, you better learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way you're going to get noticed. And so it's, even though there are, like, I don't like large crowds as a general rule of thumb. I prefer a small group of people I really can trust, but I have no problem going up in front of the room because I need to. It's like I have extroverted qualities.
Yeah, I'm the same. I figured out how to do both. But yeah, most authors they don't start out with a marketing mind. Like, they don't think that way, and it's really a learned skill.
Yeah, well, you have to. Like I said, professional wrestling worked my brain enough that I figured it out. Like, you gotta have. It's because it's a really weird balance too. Because from an ego standpoint, you need a bit of an ego, not only even to negotiate with you. I need a little bit of an ego, right? Not so much that you're like, right? No, like, fuck you. But I mean, enough where it's just like, hey, I'm worth something. Well, because that's just it. Like, you understand, I'm going to try to get as much as I can. On the plus side, there's only so much you can give. Yeah. And if we can find a compromise that works for both of us, we'll work together.
Right.
If we can't, there's also necessarily no hard feelings either. It's just, you got what you can do. I got what I need to do. And that's the way it is.
The problem with ego in a writer, though, comes when, you start getting the editing process, because sometimes you're critiquing their baby, right?
Well, no, I've learned to just shut up because sometimes, well, no, like, I think here's the thing. You got to fight for what's in the story.
Yeah,
because every once in a while, like, even when you were editing my stuff, I remember this. I would tell you, it's like, I'm going here. And somebody like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So let's try this. It's not necessarily that you can't talk to your editor and make offer. Heck, I edited a comic. We went back and forth. I was really wondering about one of the lyrics on the dialogue boxes, and then he goes, "It's riff from Creamsize." Oh, never mind. Don't worry about my comments then, right? Because it's one of those things where there's that even too is a bit of a give and take relationship, because the thing that an author needs to understand is the editor wants to make this the best that possibly can be. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the suggestions they're going to make is based on how they think it will be the best it can possibly be. Yeah. At the end of the day, it is your baby. However, there is something to be said that if, for example, I'm arguing with you about every single little thing, you're probably not going to give me quite the same help on the marketing. Because if I'm going to be disruptive for you here in the editing process where you're legitimately trying to help me,
Yeah.
What am I going to be like when we go out into the world?
Yeah. It's
You might be able
interesting.
to, you might be like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
maybe not. Like and I can't blame you there too. There has to be, when you work with a publisher,
Yeah. It's
they're
a
the ones
partnership.
publishing. Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a partnership.
Yeah,
It's a
for sure.
partnership, right? And so you have to like again, fighting for what you think is the best story possible. And as long as the discussions are there, there's usually no problem with the back and forth.
Mhm.
It's when you just want to fight over every little thing.
We've
Because
been
then
really fortunate though. Like I haven't had any problem authors. Like all of our authors are amazing.
well, yeah, because again, they all get it. Like it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the thing. They all get it. Like Nate Friedman, I have not had Sharon come on the show yet. I have tried. She has
We
not.
need to get Sharon.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would love to. I have asked her. She has. I have not heard anything back from her.
Oh, I'll bug her. I'll get her for you.
Yeah. I'd like to do that one before I hit 1,000. So it's just like one of those. It's just like, well, but I've interviewed Nate. I've interviewed some of your other, and again, everybody's got different philosophies on what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But they all want to tell the best story they can. That's again, there you check your ego at the door. You only, again, ego is good for one thing in this business: money. Right? That's it. And
Yeah.
and that's on the publisher's end of things too. I mean, you got to put, like, you're pushing. Actually, that is an interesting question. Do you care about bookstores as much right now? And I'm going to say that, and I'm going to ask this as delicately as I can, because I realize your answer might be, you might have to give me a very, very tilted answer. But here's the thing I've noticed anyway. If I was to launch a book, right, I'm not sure I care about chapters the same way I might have cared about them 10 years ago. Right? Yeah, right. You just don't. It doesn't have the same thing. There's some indie bookstores in town, right? Oh man, the name is completely. They were really, like, I like when I could, I'd go to that bookstore on a regular basis. It was right off of Ottawa Street.
Storytellers or Juniper? There's both.
Juniper's great. No, Juniper's great. There's another one. No, Wyandotte.
Oh, Wyandotte.
Biblioasis. There he is. There we go. Biblioasis books. If I was to launch an event in Windsor, it would be either Juniper or Biblioasis.
Gotcha. Yeah, we've done Juniper. We've done the Art Speak Gallery a few times. Storytellers is good. We've done the store in Amherstburg. I can't remember the River Bookshop. So,
I haven't. I never got to go to Amherstburg during my time back there. Yeah. It was just The other weird thing about Windsor is, okay, so I don't have a car now in Calgary. It isn't really a problem. In Windsor,
it's a problem.
This is like that's the weirdest thing about living in Windsor to me.
Yeah.
Right, is all the jobs were literally in the outskirts of the city, just about, like, almost all of them. You need a car to get there because the bus does not go there. And you're like, why is this? Like, why do you work like this? Like, why don't you?
That was the first thing I was told when I moved here was, this is a car town. Get a car.
I mean, I still ended up, when I went from time to time getting jobs, but they it's all down in the south. It's like, how did this happen? There used to be stuff in the city. Like where did it go? Right. Yeah. So, but I mean, that was bizarre. It's still the most bizarre thing, that a town. It's not. How do I put this? It's just big enough that a good bus system would actually be wonderful. Yeah. Right. And it's just small. It's just big enough also that you can't just get anywhere. Like it's just a little bit bigger than a small town. It just drove me nuts. It's like, no. Job is all the way out. Like, why are all these jobs here? Right? Yeah.
Poor city planning, I guess, is the answer there.
Or the evolution. I mean, we don't want to talk about the like I said, there's a lot of people there that are independently self-employed there for reasons, and that's why. Yeah. Just because it's by necessity, you're not going to see the same. Like I said, back in way back in the day. I mean, there was stuff in the middle of the city, but not anymore. It's
Mhm.
all gone. So
Yeah.
yeah, but we're not gonna commiserate the downfall of the inner city of Windsor. What we are going to talk about is your books. But no, no, I bring up the bookstore thing because I was thinking like, okay, so I got 3 books I'm doing next year. Fahrenheit
Wow.
451. So I'm keeping up with my Alice stuff. I got a female version of, I don't know if you, a parallel universe female version of Parker, Killing Knights of
Okay.
the Round. Kind of fun. And then I got like I said, my graphic novel. So between the 3, I got that stuff, and it's just like that's really, really, really freaking cool. So, but okay, so my Alice in Wonderland stuff. Do I want to do that in a bookstore, or do I want to do that in a theater? Do I want to do like my Parker thing and like that might be a little bit more of a bookstore thing, but maybe more like places like a used bookstore or a Biblioasis that kind of has that pulpy feel, like stuff that feels like the bookstore does not have the prestige it once did.
No. And a lot of people aren't really like if they're going out, they're not lingering in businesses right now because of, everything that's gone on. So you don't get the same kind of crowd just hanging out, or like the coffee shops aren't as popular. Like, so it's a difficult time, and I think outdoor events have been more successful for us, like doing vending shows and getting out there.
Yeah, no, the outdoor stuff because people want to do stuff but I also think we're evaluating what's important still, because I think the thing is, like I don't think we're locking down again, but I also I don't think so at this point. But
No.
I also think though, like there's a lot of things that are like we're evaluating the worth of what's valuable, like
Yeah.
the malls. Okay, right. No, but I mean it's like seriously, it's a very commonplace thing. I don't think Devonshire Mall will exist in 5 years.
Well, Tecumseh Mall's already dead, so.
Oh, I know, I know, I know. Oh God, I know. I went to get a new phone there, and I looked around. It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Feel like
No,
you're
it's
in an
like,
abandoned like subway tunnel or something in there.
you could have like a little you could do like a story in the Tecumseh Mall, like the little subculture that's just where everybody goes. That's all
It's just employees. That's the only people in there.
pretty much. No, it was that I mean, the food court gets some business ish. I mean, that's ish.
Yeah.
Tim Hortons always does well in the apocalypse. Tim Hortons does well in the apocalypse. It's apocalypse. It's apocalypse proof. So does pizza. So does pizza. But no, no. I mean, I remember like in the height of the mass pandemic stuff. Like I went in there once. It was just like, fuck that. I'm not doing that again. Right? It was insane. It was insanity, everything that was going on. Every time you go into a store, they tell you to like sanitize. And after about the third, after about the second store, I was just like, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm sorry. My hands still feel clammy from the last time. I'm not doing it. Yeah. Right. I think the hand sanitizer was quietly the first thing to die a death in the pandemic, because I think everybody just realized like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
If you did it once, no one's gonna say no, I'm not gonna say anything because fuck it. But I say it like that because it was such an awkward experience going in the mall during those times. And now that it's over, I imagine it's easier, but you still got that lingering. Like you had about 2 years of no mall.
Yeah, and you almost you feel like you shouldn't go because there is that element of risk, and it's in the back of your head, right? So you kind of go less. So, and I find a lot of people are doing that. Like businesses aren't as busy as they were in person anyway.
Yeah, well, like I said, it'll be interesting to see. I do think it comes back as the years progress, because I do think, in a good way, people will forget, right? And in a good way, in this case, I thought about this in like my big thought of, we always forget the really, really bad shit that happens. We remember, but we don't forget the same way, and it's like that's probably a good thing.
I guess
we're not stuck in. Yeah, because
it's healing from trauma.
Yeah, no, it totally is, right? So I do think like I think we have other economic like wonderful things coming up down the pike next year. We won't go too much into that, but I do think anything that survives that will have the storefront might actually. I do see the coffee shop becoming more popular again as time goes on.
I hope so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of really nice coffee shops in Windsor. I missed
Yeah.
the one off of Princess and Tecumseh right at the light there. I can't remember the name because it's been
Chow.
What?
Chow Cafe.
It's the Italian one.
Yeah.
It was
Chow.
yeah. Okay. So hey. Yeah, so I miss it. Like, there's good places like that, and those places, I think if they can make it another year, will do quite well.
Yeah.
But I think the next year is going to be really rough still, and that's just.
Yeah, we're not completely out of the woods yet, especially economically. We're getting
economically, but I do think there is a huge opportunity for books in the next couple years because, in bad times. People, and I say this not in the drug way, people self-medicate. People want to escape into other worlds, right?
Well, that's why we exist. That's our whole philosophy is escapism. So
yeah. So I just bring that up like that because no, did I am I there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I froze for just a second. It's like, oh no, technology's wonderful sometimes, but no, I say it like all this because I expect from an economic standpoint, the next 2 years are going to suck, right? That's what I expect economically. I expect it that way because it's just the way. Like we're paying for some of the things that had to be done during the pandemic. We're also paying for various other things as well, and that, like. Long story short, I think the wealth transfer section of the pandemic isn't quite done yet, and we're going through another 2 years of that bullshit before it fully passes. After that, I think we start turning the corner. But again, the rebuilding phase is going to take probably actually quite a long time, considering the number of businesses that have disappeared. But at the same time, there's opportunities in this kind of environment. And like I look at, like, for example, the comic book community in Kickstarter has done fantastic. There's lots of cool shit on Kickstarter. I'm not actually allowed to go on Kickstarter beyond certain points of the year. Because it's a collector's dream. Like anyone that wants to go on, like Kickstarter is a great place if you want to make a collector's edition of your book, because if you can come up with some really cool bells and whistles and you can have like a really cool presentation about it, you might reach a collector's audience. And that can be pretty freaking cool, right?
Well, something I've noticed is definitely throughout the pandemic, there's been a lot more people writing, a lot more people creating, and like our submissions have just been through the roof. We get so many now. We just did a contest for short stories. We got flooded, and October, November, our submission season is going to be the same. Like we're just going to get hundreds and hundreds of submissions.
Yes, and Sabrina, you know what to do. Sabrina's like, no.
Start preparing now.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope. How old is Sabrina?
My age, same.
Okay, no. The reason I say that is because assistants can be sometimes a little younger. Give her like here's some brandy. Every time you can't get by page 2, take a shot. And, take a shot.
You won't get through too many submissions that way. They'll all start blurring together.
Drink, thud.
Drinking game out of it though. That sounds fun.
You could make a drinking game out. No, you can.
We save the wackiest ones. We have a folder set up in the email where we just save the wackiest submissions so we can laugh about them later. So
you should do. You know what you should do? Obviously, take the names out. Just take all the names out, right? You send them as random Christmas cards to people.
Just excerpts from them.
Yeah, just an excerpt. Right, just to people, so one of my episodes, I literally I fixed most of the stuff with I fixed the computer and stuff like that, but I had an issue with the system. It crashed in the middle of the show, so my guest had to actually pretty much take over the show, and she did for like 30 minutes. It was awesome. Oh my God. Yeah, so I have the footage, right? I have all the footage of this. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making like little micro minutes here, and I might be sending, and she knows I already cleared it with her, right? She's like, it's fair game. Okay. So I'll just send it to a bunch of people, like as random Christmas cards. I'll be like, here you go, Merry Christmas.
That's awesome.
Yeah. you gotta have fun, man. You gotta have
Yeah,
fun with yourself.
sure.
Like there's silly shit in every job. There is absolutely silly, and things happen beyond your control.
Yeah.
If you can't laugh, you'll cry. You know, and it's just this way. Right? It's like you need to let it out somehow. I would rather laugh about it and share my pain to the world, and then do that. But that's just me. Like I am that messed up of a human being. It's like, here you go, share your pain.
Hey, as long as you're having fun, that's what matters.
So you want to hear the terrible thing I'm going to do probably next year? I've been looking at doing like a mystery machine band to like travel country, keep doing the podcast and stuff like that once things really take off.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make my horn have like 2 horns. One's like the regular horn for traffic. But every once in a while, I'm going to change the ice cream music because I just want to see. Like, yeah. I mean, could I make people run after me? Now, of course, I better have ice cream. Yes.
You better start driving real fast when they start coming.
Well, no. No. If I have ice cream, it's not going to be. If I actually have ice cream, it's not. I'm going to still have my fun, but they're at least going to get ice cream at the end of it.
That's kind of you. Maybe make some money while you're at it.
Maybe, hey, listen, come up with like an ice cream. Like, I mean, there are worse things I could do. Make ice cream. It's like, what are you doing? I'm an ice cream guy on the road. It's like I travel to a place and I say I make homemade ice cream.
Hey,
so I'm like, that's just cool shit. It's like, yeah, and then I interviewed people with my big mouth. It's like that's an interesting operation. It's like, yeah, why not? Life. Hey, I'm going to be 41 in a little over a month. Life is too short not to enjoy it. I've done lots of cool things, and like I said, the pandemic taught me 3 very important things. Don't fall in love with any outcome, right? I don't think any political system has any integrity at this point in the world.
That's fair.
Yeah, right. At this point, from here on in, if an expert comes on TV and says that the sky is blue, I'm looking up. I don't care who it is. I just don't care.
Yeah.
Right. I just don't care anymore. If they look up, and if I agree with them, I will be a little worried. I'm just saying, after my experience of the last few years, I've hit the point where it's like, if I think my leaders are right, I'm going to examine my assumptions. I've at that point in my life where it's just like, I just don't. That might just be me. Actually, I don't think it's just me. But I mean, no. But I think our generation has had our "you've lied to us" moment, and we're
disillusioned.
Well, what it comes down to, I really, on a personal note, I really don't care how you view the pandemic, the vaccines, and stuff like that. The lack of transparency, right? I have come to hate trusted science. Not because I think you shouldn't have a scientific basis, but you should be affirming it, not trusting it, which means you should ask questions, have a discussion, be out in the open, be transparent. That did not happen.
Yeah.
And not really. So
with how long this went on, the fact that they never really got it together was shocking.
Well, that's
like,
it's not to me at this point. Looking at what's going on right now, honestly what's going on right now, we are going into a recession. That was going to happen no matter what. Now, the inflationary part, that didn't have to be that way. They could have just went straight into the recession. I'm not saying it would have been nice.
Yeah.
But it would have been a lot nicer than what's about to come. Right? Everybody's going to be paying for this longer now. This might have been over next year if they said, hey, going to maybe not. Maybe it would have gone a little longer, but would be far less painful than what they're going to do. Like, there's inflation, which is what we're going through. Congratulations, we hit 1978 in 1 year. That's fantastic. And then there's deflation, which is just as painful. I would not like the one thing about Windsor. I was looking at your housing prices, and I looked around, and no. So like here's the thing. There's no way that adds up. You don't have it doesn't add up even a little bit.
No.
So anyone that buys a house now, first up, why? Second, but if you did, right? If you did, right? But if you did, it's going to depreciate next year. No one's going to be buying houses next year or the
Yeah.
year after.
Nope.
So what are you going to do with it? You're going to be stuck with this thing that you can't pay for because the average wage in Windsor is like $16 an hour, and these houses are looking for like $40 an hour wages.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do, right? I think so the deflation is going to be super painful too,
Yeah.
and then we hit the recession, right? It's going to like boom, boom, because it just went straight into the recession, right? Right? We because we're going there anyway. Like,
Yeah.
but that's just me, right? I'm again, I don't advocate human suffer like mass suffering, but if I have to choose which pill I'm going to take, I just rather just get it over with and move on.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But no, so which leads to the third thing. So since I don't have to cooperate and I can do what I want, and that's a scary thing. I like someone like me, it's like, anything. And that's the thing. Actually, I realized like you really can like the whole idea of how we perceive things really comes down to what we are willing to tolerate. And this goes kind of back to the ego thing a little bit, not to say, but for the negotiation of worth. If you can look people in the eye, it doesn't matter who's across from you, and have a conversation with them, you're equals. It doesn't matter if they're the mayor, if they're the prime minister, it doesn't matter. Right. Like those are titles. There's still people at the end. There's still people at the end of the day. So that's it. Like, does that line of communication exist? And if it doesn't, do I have to cooperate with those people that have these expectations of me? And I realize that at the end of the day, I don't. And that's an interesting thought. And so now it's like, well, if I can do what I want, ultimately, it gives me the freedom. It's like, gives me that freedom. I can do whatever I really want to do. It doesn't really matter. What do I want to do? Right? And that's power, right? That's real power, right? You know? So I don't know. Maybe I've gotten a little crazier in the pandemic.
We all had time to think, and we were shut up inside. So the result is inevitable.
Yes. Well, but yeah, but again, it's that you have a guest.
I had to free my cat.
Freeing your cat?
Yeah, he was scratching.
No, it's all good. All good. All good. But no, it's just, that's the thing, right? So it's about what's important to you. And I think, I think we're all asking those questions because we don't necessarily have to go along with what's being offered either. We can go in a completely different direction if we choose. Yeah. So we're at an interesting point. So
sometimes almost have to, because not always, the support systems aren't always there.
Oh no, then they're going to disappear even more and more as time goes on. Exactly. Like that's just that. Like I mean, how long have you been in Windsor? Just I don't know.
15 years.
I don't know if I want to give you a hug or not for that.
I like it. The people here are, they're down.
They're friendly. There's a
lot of businesses that the people are putting in the hard work, and that's what I appreciate about here. It's not as fast paced as some other cities.
No, actually, my favorite thing about Windsor is simply the fact that you can talk to anybody just about. Yeah. It's all good. That's the best thing about Windsor. Yeah. It doesn't matter what race, creed, color, age. It doesn't matter. You can bullshit with anybody there, and it's great. It's great. No, I think that's actually one of the best things about the city.
It is.
Yeah. So, that's the best. Like the spirit is still there. It just to me, it just seems like what everybody's going to coming to the conclusion of is the city isn't going to help you.
No, there's no support. There's no support for the arts here. There's no, we don't get funding. We don't get any of that. So anything you do, you kind of have to do, yourself or with the help of the community, and that's it.
Yeah. I'm just doing it this way, so I'm not quite as blinding as the sun has hit this point in the window. Wonderful thing.
I mean, the flip side too, though, is so much is able to be done online these days, so you can really take your business worldwide, which is good.
Yeah. Well,
you're not limited to just being stuck locally, right?
Well, just the fact that we're having this conversation. I would have loved to have done this in person. I don't know if and or when I'll be back in Windsor to do that. All right. So I my time there was my time there. Mm-hmm. What it comes down to, for me is this. It's like, but I can have this conversation with you practically anywhere. I could be in Japan. I actually have interviewed people in Japan and Israel the last couple of weeks. It's just like we can do that. That's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So if I can talk to you like this, I don't really need a telephone, at least as we know it. I can do a lot of my business. Like I just applied for, like, I like, again, that just the way it goes, the ups and downs. Maybe I should get myself a part-time job to make sure I can pay my bills. So, you know, right. And that's what I'm looking at just at the moment. Now, again, things might change as soon as tomorrow. That's the fun thing about freelancing. It's like, hey, I might be busier than a bandit tomorrow. But what it comes down to is like, we have this free, again, there's this freedom. There's a lot of the same rules don't really apply. And, you know, and we've already kind of concluded that our governments don't know what they're doing. So we might as well make it up for ourselves. Right. And that's a wonderful position to be in, is we have that freedom to go, hey, we can be wherever we want to be. So, I mean, when you become rich and shameless with Mirror World Publishing, you can go to your secret dream. Actually, you gonna stay in Windsor?
Yeah, I own a house here, and as you said, it's not worth really selling and buying another one. So we're
right now, no.
We're stuck, which is fine. I mean, it's a nice house.
We own the house here. No, you're gonna have an like next year's going to be really interesting for you. Again, you can survive it.
Right? Oh yeah, we can survive.
Yeah, so we'll be good. But yeah, but no, like it's one of those situations. Like me, I haven't figured out where that magical home is for me. So that's the other thing. It's like I'm not tied down to anywhere, so I can explore and do shit.
Where are you based out right now?
Calgary. Back in Calgary
yeah.
for the moment.
Yeah.
I was in Canmore for 6 months. That was awesome. Those pictures of the mountains, I literally woke up to them every day. It was fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So when you live in a place like that and you get to experience a place like that, right? It's incredible. Like it honestly is incredible. And you know, there's lots out there to see and do, and there's amazing people to meet too. So for me, it's just like, you know, I'm gonna be where I'm gonna be, and hopefully meet some really cool people along the way. But I'm treating this is my time here to build, and that's what I'm doing. And we'll see where it goes. Like Windsor's where I was convinced I'd make it as a freelancer. Actually, it was funny.
I can see that.
Because so I was doing some temp jobs here and there just to make some extra money. And this temp job was supposed to last 2 weeks, and I got fired on my third day. And I honestly don't know why. Like legitimately, it wasn't like I showed up on time. I did what I was asked to do. I did all that stuff. I was still late. So, right. I was still fired. I should say, not late. I was still fired. I did everything I was supposed to do. I was still fired. So I was like, what am I going to do? You know, I'll also go back. That week, I made more money as a freelancer than I've ever made working for anybody. In 1 week, I did it. Now, it's not every week. Like Lord knows, more weeks than not, it's not. But you got it. But what I've realized about this journey and what it is it's mindset. Like you got to have the thing that I can make these cool things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and at this point, I mean, how many books have you published now? Like what are you? 4 dozen?
Somewhere near 50. Either just under or just over 50.
So you're like, yes, I've done 50 great books.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I have, this will be my 11th. That's coming out next month.
I'm catching up to you. Right? This year I'll be at 9. So next year I'll be at 9. Wow. Maybe 10. I actually found an old thing I finished. It's actually a comic book. I have to figure out how to letter it. I did a Dr. Seuss-esque style comic book. Nice. It hurt my brain. Seuss is actually very hard to write. Very, very hard to write in. Yeah. So, but no, I'll have 9 things out with my name on it next year, and not including every other things I've done. It's just like, it's so, I mean, I'm catching you. I'm guessing there, although
I also had 2 novellas. I won a contest, was it last year or the year before? So we wrote a novelette, I should say. 12,500 words. We had to write it, edit it, and submit it in 5 days. So we actually,
it can be done. It's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard.
It was hard. But it was so much fun. And then our story won and made it into the anthology. So
Nice. So which anthology?
it's called what is it called? Saturn's. I don't remember what it's called. That's terrible.
I don't remember. It got published. I don't remember.
It's Saturn themed.
It's Saturn themed. Okay.
Yeah.
That I might narrow it down.
It's by Zombie Pirate Publishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
A zombie pirate Saturn book. Okay.
Yes.
I'm in.
So our story was solar sailing pirates around the rings of Saturn.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's something you probably would enjoy, actually.
Yeah, I actually would.
Yeah.
I actually have a novel like I would try for. I was saving for Trisha Bali. It's a Race Inside a Star.
Oh, nice.
It has pirates in it too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one of them that's like that. They do in one of the stories that won was like a race around our solar system from to Saturn and back. It was like a big race with all these different races that were like species that were fighting against each other. It's really neat.
Yeah. Well, mine is actually it's dual purpose. The Race Inside a Star actually repairs a star from going supernova, but it's at the end.
Cool.
Yeah. But it's a far-flung future galaxy. The winner gets basically one wish granted from the Emperor within their power to do so. So it's a big prize, big race, big origin story. So yeah, it's been fun to put that one together. That one's like, if I was going to try traditional, like that was the book. Like it's YA. It's something I could probably get away with as a, something I could probably get away with as a traditional. It's my crazy, but it's also kind of follows a formula. So I mean, I can do it. I just don't like it. But anyway, so there's always ideas of things to come and things to do, and that's great. So I guess at this point, yeah, I obviously want to write more books. So
yeah, I've just finished one that will come out next year. It's the 5th and final one in my fantasy romance series. So I'm still going.
You're still going.
Yeah.
So has the publishing hit the point where that's your primary job at this point?
It's kind of half and half. I do have a part-time job, and then I have the publishing business. So I have to kind of split my time, and then I write, whenever I have a spare moment. So I keep busy.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the same boat where we both need something steady part-time, but our other stuff is actually making money too. So it's just like
for a long time the business supported itself, which was nice, and now it's starting to kind of also filter through to supporting me. So that's getting better. But,
that's the best thing, right? When you can like at this point it's just like investing in. It takes a long time. But I mean, by the time you get to like your 60th and 70th books, you're gonna be like, yay!
Yeah.
Because by the time you get there, it'll probably be able to take care of you too, and you'll be like, yes.
Yeah, and then same as freelancing. I mean, it has good months and harder months, right?
Oh yeah, this month's been a hard month. Like this month's been a hard month. I made really decent money in July, like that covered me this month. I don't know what September's gonna look like. However.
Yeah,
gotten a lot of nibbles. Like how to put this, there's a lot of nibbles. It's like I just need one of them to bite. If one of them bites, I'm good. Yeah. All right. It's a weird thing. But at the same time, what I really want to do, and this is, and like I said, so here's the thing. What I might actually do, this might be my actual secret master plan, is I might just like work something part-time for like a little bit and get myself like a bartending course. Because here's the thing, if I'm going to work a job that doesn't interfere with anything I'm doing, right, pays well, is universally valued everywhere, there you go, right, and I get to have fun, right? Yeah, if it's something you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work, and then that way you get the best of both worlds. You have a little bit of stability, but you also can chase your dreams, right? Yeah, exactly. And then also the other thing too is I can still travel everywhere with that, because again, there's not a place in the world that doesn't, it's like, hey, you can make a drink. Yep, you're hired. There you go. Yeah. So I mean, I as you can see, I still have all these wonderful and crazy dreams. So just like I just do them all.
Yeah.
I've just lived my life that way the whole time. So, but it sounds like you found you guys are pretty content.
Yeah, oh yeah. We do it because we love it, right? Like you love
Yeah.
seeing the new works come out, love seeing the authors celebrating their first or second or 10th release. Like it's great.
So which ones are you happier? Are you happier with the first times or the guys that have done it 10 times?
All of them.
Oh,
the first times are always more work but more reward. The last book we released a couple months ago was it's called Sex, Bugs, and UFOs. And it's by a first-time author, and I think his excitement was he was just through the roof. So,
yes, it's a cool moment. Like it's a
yeah.
really, really cool moment. It's like, wow. I always tell the story like for me it was like an accident in one sense because you just like you bought my book on Smashwords like right at the right place at the right time. It's just like, and you're like, what are you gonna do with it? And I'm like, this is it. And you're like, I'll publish it. And I'm like, oh. And I tell people that story. I had author, her name is Danica Starn. It's like, how do you accidentally get published traditionally? And I told her that, right? I told her the story. And she was like, wow. So, yeah. So, and on top,
ready to open up to other authors, and you got to be the first one.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was the right place at the right time, but also the right amount of work. I had Kara Timmons on right before you last week. Like she was my last interview. She said you did all the prep yourself. She's like, yeah, but it didn't have to work out that way. It just did, right? Yeah. And that I'm grateful for it. But it's great when you watch I see these published like really, really well-known authors look at me. It's like, wait, you got traditionally published and it was poetry? It's like, yeah. Isn't that cool? And they look at me like what? How did that happen? Right. But
and to this day, you're still our only poetry author.
Yes. Yeah. I know. I know. No, because it's not easy. The only reason my stuff works, it's coherent.
Yeah. It's accessible. It's accessible, it's easy language, and it's compelling. That's what I like.
So that's it, right? And it works. And I did the same thing with Alice, right? I was actually, because of The Watcher, I ended up doing. So I see the good fortunes of Merrill with me. So another poetry editor goes to me, hey, I really like your style. Do something for me like this for a Lewis Carroll thing. And I'm like, okay. So I think about it. What the fuck can I say about Lewis Carroll that's never been said? And right. So that night I go to the bar and I meet a girl with a Gorgon tattoo on her arm. And I hit on her. She fights with the other team. But we're still friends. Like we're still friends to this day. And I go, that's a really cool tattoo. She's like, yeah, I made it. Because like, are you Medusa fan? It's like, yeah. I thought about it. It's like, I could put Medusa in Alice in Wonderland. And it actually fits. And then I just had that eureka moment. Alice is Pandora. Oh my God, that works. So I wrote it. And it did not make the anthology. It was one of the last things cut in the anthology. But she's like, do something with this. So I published it about like in 2020. In 2021, I was nominated for an Elgin Award. So there you go. Right. So it's one of those things where, yeah, like this style of mine has actually translated into other things. So I got to keep doing it. Yeah. So maybe at like I said, I don't know. Maybe the next time I do write something for you, it will actually be a novel because it'll make it a novel thing for me. It's like, hey,
I look forward to it.
yeah. I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? And you'd be like, okay, you can do that. Okay. Yeah. And we'll give it a try. We'll see what a novel of mine actually looks like under your
well, I mean, we also do novellas and short stories now, so you can always if you like the shorter stuff.
Novella, maybe. Yeah. I think novellas are sweet. I'm a big fan of I think so. I guess I see, for me, I'm an old dime novel guy. I love dime novels, but dime novels they're novellas, most of them. Right? Yeah. They're short. They're considered novels, but the truth is they're just shorter. Like they're short, wonderful, like tight pieces. Here's a publishing question for you. Do you not just because of the cost of making the book, but also just from a reader's perspective? Is there like a particular word count you love?
Yeah. So anywhere 75,000 to 100,000 is kind of the sweet spot. It a lot of it is print costs. I don't like going above 125,000 because it gets a little expensive to print them, and then you have to charge more for the books, and that's just not fair to anybody.
Well, it has to be damn good. It's
Yeah, exactly.
and most of us, like, actually, I had this conversation with, again, Kara. We only read like 1 or 2 tome books a year. Like, I'm more, as I've gotten, again, older, I appreciate like a lot more of I'm trying to do more of the dime novel stuff, because
Yeah.
I think there's a sweet spot for shorter like pieces, because I think everybody wants to look for an escape, right? But it's that investment of time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so my favorite like 2 formats right now, and when I'm looking at published stuff, is I like Japanese light novels, because
Yes.
they do a really wonderful job of, they're short, they're concise, but they have a little bit, and obviously you see my stuff, you could probably see why I would like it so much.
Yeah.
Right. But I love the format of it. It makes a lot of sense to me. Right. And again, it's an old dime novel. It's the old Louis L'Amour Western concept, just reimagined for a modern age. That's what the Japanese light novel essentially is. Right. It's not terrible. Like, don't get me wrong, I like stuff that can really sink my teeth into once in a while, but I think we're talking about escapism, like, in terms, right? Like, I would imagine like 50 to 70 is a pretty sweet spot for you too.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. We don't see a lot in that range. You're either going to see the novella of this 25 to 50, or you're going to see 75 to 100. You don't get that middle. It's just people don't rate it. And it could be because, there's a lot of teachings on, write a certain word count depending on your genre. So if you're fantasy, you write more or less, or romance.
Yeah, well, no, absolutely. But I do think I do think, because of the nature of how publishing is changing. Like I said, as an author, right, and I say this with all due respect, you might not always be the right choice for a book, right? Sometimes going an indie route is a better route. Sometimes going a Kickstarter route is a better route, depending on what your book is.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I've taught whole workshops on what are your options as an author, and which directions you can go, and why you would pick one over the other. And you can really break that down. You can
do a full course. At this point, I've been published independently. I've been published traditionally. I've seen the benefits. There's benefits to both. There's cons to both. There's benefits to both. And I say that like with all like, again, because I actually think, this is what I think is, I think the smaller publishers have a real good chance of, like, I don't know about you. You notice how the big 5 is now the big 4, and the big 4 will probably eventually become the big 3, and the big 3 might become the big 2, and then at some point it'll just go poof, disappear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like that video game. There's this video game, the snake that just eats everything and gets really, really, really big. Yes. And then all of a sudden, one little shot pops and bursts it. That's kind of how I see the publishing.
Oh, you disappeared there. Hopefully you come back and don't just leave me alone.
So, funny thing. So right as she was talking about the 50,000 word thing, and that's where we were at last time, my computer went, uh-oh, we're going to have a stroke. And so what ended up happening is I disappeared again and asked folks, I know, I need a new computer. This is something I'm well aware of. I'm going to have to ride this out until probably the end of the year. But at the end of the year, it's like my Christmas present to myself is going to probably be a refurbished computer that's not, that can actually take the abuse I do with all the video and stuff like that. So as I am grabbing, but before, actually, so I was just wondering, would you guys, I mean, because again, you're talking about escapism and dime novel stuff as I'm loading this up, would you do a 50, 60,000 word thing?
Oh, yeah. No, not opposed to it at all. The word count to me is less important than how good the story is.
Yes. And also, I just feel like that would be easier for your budget, too. It's like, oh, thank God. It's like, it's a full story. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It can be done. Well, while we were out, I just kind of want to do this real quick, folks. This came in. So this was on the stack, too. It includes an actual short story by yours truly. It's called The Glorious Glitter Dragon, or The Alliteration Alteration. And as cool as the short story is, that's actually a feat myself. I don't do a lot of short stories that get published. My first published illustration, folks. The evilest dragon of them all. I wanted special thanks to John Westhoff for doing that. Here you go. I see it. Would you write a love letter to a stranger? Maybe. I am that kind of guy. I am that kind of guy. So you want to talk? So is it Uncommon a standalone or?
So it's set in the same world as a couple of my other books. So it's not. They're not like it's not a series in the traditional sense. Each of the books is its own set of characters and takes place in its own setting. It's just in the same world. So this is set in that world called Ismera, and it's up in the north, so kind of almost like a Scottish kind of land where there's clans instead of kingdoms. And it's about a young clan chief named Rybel, whose father dies unexpectedly. He was never expected to take over the clan. His sister was, and then she runs away from home and decides that she wants something different out of life. So he's kind of left to hold down the fort, so to speak.
Yeah. So my computer has decided that it is. I don't think it's fully recovered from a stroke. That's I don't think it's fully recovered. It'll take a minute. It'll load up eventually the download screen, so I can download Uncommon, so I can show people to the world. Yeah. Hold on a second here. Can I do that? Nope. Alt tab. Downloading. There you go. It's trying to do its thing. There you go. I'm kind of back into this. And to the person that came in, so this is a bit of an unusual one. So hold on a sec here. There it goes. Last thing. This thing, I swear.
Yeah. Technology's fine.
It can be. Some days it can be a lot of fun. Hold on a second here.
So the book is it's a fantasy romance, kind of focusing on like a fairy tale kind of theme. But I wanted to like gender swap the hero's journey for each of the characters. So the sister ends up being like the warrior who goes on adventures, and the brother ends up having to be the one who has to find romance.
Oh, that's good. You know what? That ain't a bad thing. There you go. Woohoo! My finally worked. I am genuinely like looking at this thing going, oof. Okay, so let's see if we can do this right. Sharing the screen. Hold on a second here. We're going to open this up. It opened up in photos. I don't want to open that up in photos. Show in folder. All right, hold on a second here. Choose what to share. Entire screen, a window. There we go. Maybe that's the one. Give it a second here. Hold on. Is the screen sharing at this moment in time?
Not that I can see, but
okay. Give it a sec here. I'm going to do that. Trying to make it do its thing. And there we go. We're going to share that to the world. There we go.
There we go.
Yep. This is Uncommon, and this is what it's going to look like. When's it coming out?
September 17th. So it's on pre-order right now.
Okay. So there we go. So where? I'm going to shut that down. And shut that down. So where can we find the book?
Yeah, Mirror World Publishing, obviously. And then, all the usual suspects, Amazon, Chapters, Barnes & Noble, worldwide.
MirrorWorldPublishing.com?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm almost a trained professional. Almost.
There you go. Yeah, so you can pre-order it now or wait for the release, whichever you want.
Yeah. Well, before we fully wrap up, so I just want to say something. I generally say, when it's all said and done, is I would not be the writer I am without Justine, and I would like to actually thank her very much for taking a chance on me. It was cool. Yeah, and even though I've been kind of going off my own merry way, I always say nice things about Mirror World because hey, you know what? I wouldn't be where I am without it. So before we officially wrap up, this is my advertising services. I make video ads, branding ads for projects and people. You can definitely check a look at them yourself. I do all kinds of things. You can see some examples of that, a little tiny taste of that whenever you see any of the videos posted on my various social media feeds. I obviously do a little bit. I take it to the next level when I do it with a client, but you have an idea just a little bit what you can expect. So definitely check those out. And that will do it for this episode. This is a short, very short stream. We're finishing the stream off because we were going to finish this off well, not quite like this. This would not have happened. This would not have happened actually if the system would not have crashed. But we were going to talk about our latest book release and our latest book. And yeah, so definitely check out merrillpublishing.com. There's some great books there from a lot of great authors. Personally, Nate Friedman's a personal favorite of mine, so definitely check that out. But for everybody watching, everybody listening, I'm taking a less streams this week than previous. Than the previous week. I did 8 last week. I had 3 metal bands. Yeah. I'll let you know a little secret too when we get off the air. Then I'll let you fully go. And beyond all that, folks, everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time.